Hello, it's Julius from Basic Financials. Today I'd like to talk a little bit about limited companies. In the last video I did, it was a little bit about setting up a new business and whether you were going to set up as a self-employed or potentially as a limited company. Just recapping on the self-employment, you pay tax on your profits, you pay income tax, you also got something called Class 4 National Insurance, which is 9% on profits between certain levels, and you've got a Class 2 National Insurance, which is about £3 a week. Now, the last video dealt with most of that. If you were to decide to have a limited company instead, it's quite a different beast, really, and this is when you might, or you almost certainly would be thinking about using an accountant to help you with all the statutory requirements. There's Companies House requirements as well as tax requirements, and you don't only have your personal tax, you've now got the company's tax to deal with, and all the requirements that the Companies House need you to do as well. And there's quite a lot. So that's one of the downsides of setting up a limited company, is there's a fair bit more administration. But there are some plus sides as well. Now, one of the reasons for setting up a limited company rather than self-employment, as the name suggests, is limited. That means limited liability. So normally, if you set up a company, run your business, and for some reason it fails, if you've got any liabilities in that company, then you don't have any liability unless you've given that limited liability away in the form of a personal guarantee. Quite often that is likely to be to a bank if you've had to take out a loan to invest in some equipment, or just basically to fund starting it up, and your business goes down, the bank will have normally have asked you for a personal guarantee, and therefore they can come to you for it. But other creditors, for example, tax office, suppliers, that they wouldn't be able to come after you personally. Now, that's not a very nice way to start thinking about setting up your own business, but that's just to say that's one of the reasons why you might have a limited company. The other reason you might have a limited company is taxation, or another reason is taxation. I was saying in my last video that when you start up a business as self-employed, you might have to reinvest some of the money that you are earning into the business to finance equipment, work in progress, that sort of thing. You might not be getting paid for a little while, but you still have to pay tax on the profits, even if you haven't actually had any of that money yourself. Now, with a limited company, it's slightly different. It's a totally separate entity. The limited company is almost like an individual. So you've got your own situation and you've got your company situation. The company is the entity that's going to be earning the money, paying the costs, and you'll be a director of that company, but you'll also be employed by that company, and you'll be taking a salary just as if you were employed by somebody else. Now, the good thing about being a director is you can choose what your salary is going to be. So if the company can't afford to pay you, then you won't take a salary, or you won't take very much, and therefore you won't pay very much tax. Whereas even if the company's made a profit, the company will pay corporation tax, but at least you won't be paying personal tax on money you haven't received. So you can play a bit with the way you get paid. Now, what normally happens is you will end up having shares in that company, which entitle you to dividends, and you'll be an employee of the company. So you'll have set up a payroll scheme. Pensions for auto-enrolment can get a bit messy with everything. This is one of the reasons why you might want to have an accountant. Now, what often happens is this is where the tax saving can come in, or national insurance saving to be more exact. The company's tax rate is 19% on profits, and a company doesn't pay national insurance on its income. If you're an employee, then you might choose to set your salary at a level which is just under the national insurance limit, which is about £8,400 a year for year ended 5th of April 2019. If you set it at the right amount, which is about 8,400, it's not exactly that, but somewhere near there. So you'll have a salary of that. It will still entitle you to a year of state pension, even though you're not paying any national insurance, because it's just under the level for paying national insurance. But nevertheless, it does what they call frank you for a full year of state pension and sickness and all that sort of thing. Now, that salary is tax deductible expense for the company. So you would have, the company would earn some money, maybe say £50,000. You would have your salary of £8,000 or 8,400, whatever it is. Let's say 8,000. That leaves a profit of £42,000, and the company would pay corporation tax on that. Now, what's left, you would probably choose to have in dividends rather than pay yourself a bonus. The reason being, once you get over that £8,400 salary, you start paying national insurance. And you pay national insurance at 12%, and the company pays national insurance at 13.8%. So that's quite a hit. Whereas if you take it as a dividend, you get the first £2,000 of dividends tax-free, assuming you don't have any dividends elsewhere, and then the rest, up to a certain limit, is taxed at 7.5% on you personally. It's not an allowable expense, a dividend, but nevertheless the corporation tax at 19% and the tax on the dividend at 7.5% personally is less than you would be paying if you had all of that money through self-employment, paying tax Class 4 national insurance and Class 2 national insurance, or even if you had it all as employment income. So that's why some people will set up a company for tax reasons. Now, another little thing that some people will do is, let's say your wife is at home, not earning any income. She's looking after the children, but she does do maybe some administration work for you, and she's keeping the bookkeeping maybe. Now, that would mean that she's involved in the business. So actually, rather than you have a share in the company and you're an employee, you could actually, both of you have equal shares in the company, and both are employed by the company. And you then can both have that £2,000 dividend allowance. You can both have salaries of £8,400, no tax, and that both of those salaries are tax relievable on the company. So you can split your income basically. And when you start getting into levels of income in the company which would take you into higher rate tax, which is just over £46,000. So say the company was earning £46,000 and you were having that all out, you would be under the limit. But say it was £100,000, it would be quite useful to be able to split between you and your wife, to then both be keeping under the limits for higher rate. Now, I'm saying, before anyone moans at me for saying that you're the husband doing the business and the wife's at home looking after the children, it could be equally the other way round. It could be the wife is doing the business, and yes, so I'm not being sexist or anything. It's just an example. Now, I think that's probably, there's an awful lot more with limited companies, and there are other formats for businesses as well. There's a limited liability partnership, companies limited by guarantee, partnerships, which are a bit like self-employment, but if you've got more than one of you. But I think that's probably enough to be getting on with. This last video, self-employment, this video, why you might choose to run your business through a limited company instead. Anyway, I think I'll leave it at that. Like and subscribe as usual. Any comments will be gratefully received, and let me know if you've got any ideas for anything you'd like me to do a video about. Thank you very much.